Hello, welcome to yet another video of Acharya Academy. In this video, we are going to discuss about the understanding of Srotodushti in terms of Western physiology and pathological point of view. Before going to the particular concepts proper, we need to know about some of the basic concepts which we have to concretize. That is, the first and foremost, if we know about the physics, chemistry and biology and Ayurveda fundamentals, then every information mentioned in Ayurveda can be learned with deepest understanding. Second, whenever we are going to learn a new concept of Ayurveda, we have to practice the concept of minimalism. So, minimalism refers to taking one small particular topic and learning it in terms of Rachana point of view, in terms of Kriya Sharira point of view, in terms of Roganidhana point of view, in terms of Kaya Chikitsa point of view, or otherwise learning the concept in terms of anatomical point of view, physiological point of view, pathological point of view, therapeutical point of view. That is, learning that from multiple angles, then we can have a deepest understanding. Third, if you know about the concepts of Kriya Sharira from each and every corner, then learning Roganidhana is not at all difficult, it's very easy. If you know about the concepts of Roganidhana, each and every concept, then learning Kaya Chikitsa is very easy. That is why whenever if you are practicing or planning to practice the Ayurveda point of view, then we have to go in this particular angle. Kriya Sharira learning, Roganidhana learning, and Kaya Chikitsa learning has to be in a methodical way. Then fourth, whenever we are learning any of Ayurveda information, try to identify the patterns as such, which will be helpful in pattern modification, which is necessary to look into as far as the Chikitsa point of view, and pattern creation. So that means which will be helpful in balancing the abnormalities which are present inside the body. For example, if a person is taking the curds, that is sore curds, for a period of 10 or 12 days, let us say for example he is taking 300 ml of sore curds added with salt, little bit pepper, then he is consuming the same way for a 10 or 15 days. Naturally, that is likely to increase pitta dosha in the body. So that means whenever you want to have the subsidence of the pitta dosha in the body, we have to break this particular pattern. That means stoppage of consuming the sore curds, that is pattern modification. In turn, you have to take the milk which is not having sour taste, that means pattern creation, which is very essential when you want to restore the abnormalities caused by the dosha in the body. Fifth, no compromise will be done in learning the Ayurveda fundamentals. Sixth point, follow one particular mentor. One mentor, so that means you need to, what he is saying based on his thinking, what he is predicting now, what he can predict future, that can be very well identified if you are following one particular mentor. Why I am saying this is because nowadays in the YouTube millions of informations are available, and each and every person is having his own idea, his own thought process in terms of learning one particular Ayurveda concept. If you are following multiple mentors, then you can, of course you can learn it, but the confusion may be possible in this particular occasion. To get a clarity, you have to follow one particular mentor. Next, whenever if you are learning the information, Ayurveda information should be in Ayurveda way, Western information should be in the Western way. So then at regular point of view, if you are trying to club the two of them together, if you are able to connect it at multiple levels, then it indicates you are moving in the right direction. Otherwise, there is every possibility that you can, or you can move out of this particular track. That is why whenever if you are learning, both of them has to be learned, and if you want to have the proper knowledge, mix at different intervals so that you can have a right knowledge there. Last one, whenever if you are learning Ayurveda, it should be learned like learning a new language. New language refers to what? Whenever if you are learning a new language, most frequently used words you are going to learn first. In each and every aspect you are going to learn them first, then less frequently used words, then less frequently used words you are going to learn. In this way you can able to learn even Ayurveda also. So that means in case of Ayurveda, the most frequently used word is dosha. Then applied aspect of the dosha. In that way you can plan to learn the Ayurveda there. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about the concept of Srotodushti and its applied aspects. What are the different pathological events that can happen in that? Before going into that, you have to look into this Stirling forces. This one we have discussed in the earlier video. So you can able to learn this particular video and then you can able to look into this particular Stirling forces. You can have a better understanding there. So but before going into this particular Srotodushti, let me discuss about this Stirling forces in brief as such. Whenever if you look into the capillary, so this is actually responsible for the movement of the metabolites, nutrients and gaseous exchange across the capillary membrane to the or from the interstitial space to this. That means, so this is one of the major function of circulatory system that is going to happen there. Whereas the circulatory system, the main function of the heart is that is to pump the blood. The main function of the artery is to carry the blood to the different parts, and the function of the vein is to carry the blood from the different parts to the heart, wherein there is no gaseous exchange will be taking place in any of these. Gaseous exchange or nutrient exchange happens in the capillary, which is considered to be the main function of circulatory system or cardiovascular system. Human body contains nearly around 10 billions of capillaries. So from these, so this Stirling forces actually it is the one which is responsible for the movement of the nutrients, etc. This Stirling forces comprises of hydrostatic pressure and oncotic pressure at the capillary level, wherein the tissue tension, which is nothing but hydrostatic pressure exerted in the interstitial space, and oncotic pressure in the interstitial space, that is responsible for the movement of the fluid or metabolites across the capillary membrane as well as interstitial spaces. So whenever if you look into that, in the arterial end, so the hydrostatic pressure is more, whereas in the venous end the hydrostatic pressure is less, whereas this is actually exerted by the water portion, wherein the oncotic pressure, which is considered to be constant throughout the capillaries, which is actually exerted by the proteins and electrolytes. So and in the tissue tension it is the same thing, it is hydrostatic pressure and oncotic pressure. If you calculate this, the nearly around the more amount of hydrostatic pressure will be present, which is actually responsible for the movement of the nutrients and the oxygen, etc., from the capillary to interstitial space, wherein the hydrostatic pressure is much lesser at the venous end. Why this particular discrepancy happens at the arterial and venous end? Because whenever the hydrostatic pressure at the arterial end, that is responsible for the movement of the fluid, water portion from the capillary to interstitial space. That means whenever the fluid is entering from the arterial end to the venous end, the fluid portion is minimized. That is why the uh, consistency of or viscosity of the blood at the arterial end is much lesser than the venous end. That is why, so this hydrostatic pressure at the venous end is going to get lessened because of the less amount of the water portion there. That is how, so there will be the movement of the fluid from the interstitial space to the capillary will be happening. Now, regarding the abnormal functioning of the Srotas there, that is, we need to look into the actual terminology of Srotodushti. So that means abnormal functioning. This may be either increased movement happening in the Srotas. Srotas may be a tubular structure, or it may be a circular structure, or it may be a meshwork, etc. So there are different descriptions are there for the term Srotas. In case of the abnormal functioning, which is otherwise termed as Srotodushti, this may be either increased functioning or decreased movement or deviation of the course of the movement in the body or reverse movement of the abnormal substances may happen in the body. That it is nothing but a Srotodushti. Textual description says 4 types of the Srotodushti: Atipravritti, Sanga, Vimargagamana as well as Siragranthi. Atipravritti refers to the excessive movement happening in the natural course. That means the movement of the alimentary canal will be happening from the mouth to the anus. If the movement of the substances is happening, increased movement is happening in the same direction, then it is Atipravritti. Whereas in case of the urine that is moving from kidney to the urethra, if there is increased functioning of the increased movement of urine is happening, frequency of urine micturition is increased, then it is Atipravritti. Whereas the menstrual blood that is moving from the uterus to the exterior through vagina, that is, if it is, that is a natural course. If it is increased, then it is considered as Atipravritti. Whereas the movement of the vomitus, increased movement, that is not considered to be Atipravritti, that is considered to be due to Sanga as such, which is naturally happening at the pyloric antrum when a person is taking increased amount of food or when a person is taking any of the incompatible food substances. So this is actually responsible for the reverse movement, that is what is considered to be the actual vomiting, wherein Sanga and Vimargagamana, both of mechanisms are happening, wherein the Siragranthi, it is nothing but the formation of the nodule type of substance in the vessels, that is considered to be, for example, that is considered to be the example for Siragranthi, which is happening in the Vata Rakta. Now, the actual meaning of this is what actually the exact reference, that's what we have said, increased movement that is happening. So this is actually Atipravritti, this can be, whereas the other way, that is Sanga, will be happening because of any kind of obstruction this is being present. Suppose if this is an obstruction, there may be a possibility of the obstruction there and there will be reverse movement. The third thing, that is what is considered to be Vimargagamana. All these are considered to be the types of the Srotodushti in a nutshell. Now we are going to look into the actual word meaning of Atipravritti. What actually happens in Atipravritti? When you say about the Atipravritti, that is nothing but an increased movement of the any of the substances in its natural course. So let us assume the alimentary canal. Whenever if you see alimentary canal, nearly the increased movement of the substances, that is liquid type of the substance, or that is liquid movement or semi liquid fecal matter, that is what is considered to be Atipravritti. When you say about this, so naturally nearly 5 to 8 liters of fluid and electrolyte that is going to get absorbed in the large intestine, which comprises of 1 to 1.5 liters of the fluid which is taken through the oral cavity, and the rest of these secretions that is coming from the stomach or small intestine, and even to some extent from the large intestine also. Whenever there is an inflammation is happening, this is actually responsible for the further increased secretion to happen. Either it may be happening in the mouth, either it may be happening in the esophagus, or it may be happening in the stomach or small intestine or even large intestine. Depending upon the area where the pathogens are being present, increased secretions are possible. Whereas this increased secretion may result in the, the increased peristaltic movement. Why increased peristaltic movements will happen? Because of the inflammation there, wherein because of the increased peristaltic movements, there will be poor absorption and assimilation will happen. Because of the poor absorption and assimilation, that means there will be increased fluid loss may occur. Whenever there is increased fluid loss, so that means there will be the loss of water and electrolyte may happen. Electrolytes in the form of sodium and potassium. Sodium and potassium are necessary for all kinds of the skeletal muscular activities, smooth muscular activities, and myocardial activity, and even nerve conduction also. For all these, the electrolytes are very essential, and when there is inflammation is happening, this may be lost very rapidly. That is why whenever the person is suffering from severe debilitating illnesses, this electrolyte has to be retained, and there will be even nutrient loss also. Nutrient loss in the form of the either macronutrient or micronutrient loss. So this actually responsible for increased inflammatory markers in the alimentary canal. Whenever there is increased inflammatory markers, so that will be responsible for the even further secretions to get increased in the alimentary canal, which further responsible for the further increased peristaltic movement. So this is how Atipravritti may occur, because it is happening in the from the intravascular compartment to alimentary canal may happen. Then in that particular situation, why they reverse the movement or absorption from the alimentary canal to intravascular, why it is not happening? Because it is moving in the one particular direction that is responsible for the increased peristaltic movement. When there is increased peristaltic movement is there, naturally the absorption from the either stomach or small intestine or large intestine may not occur because of the increased peristaltic movement, right? This is what is considered to be Atipravritti. And next thing regarding the Sanga. So what do you mean by Sanga there? Sanga means it is nothing but a obstruction. Whenever the person is having the increased consumption of food, there will be Sanga occurs naturally in the stomach at the level of pyloric antrum. So for example, if a person is taking more amount of the either adhyasana or vishamashana or samashana, so or atyashana, so this is responsible for the natural closure of the antrum for longer duration. As we are consuming more amount of the carbohydrate, the stasis at the pyloric antrum, so that is responsible for the increased infection to occur in the stomach. So why this increased infection may occur? Why this infection may not occur either in the mouth or esophagus? The answer is, in the mouth the food may remain for a period of either 2 or 3 minutes because of chewing or mastication, etc. The food which is being consumed, which is in the macromolecular form, that may be converted into little bit the smaller inside, which is considered to be entering into the stomach. And in the esophagus, the movement of the food will be happening within seconds. That is why there is no question of stasis of the food for longer time either in the mouth or esophagus. That is why in these two regions, the either infection etc. that may not occur in the either in the mouth or esophagus. In the stomach this may happen, whereas in the small intestine the food may remain for almost 6 hours. That is why the infection may be possible even in the small intestine also. Whereas in the large intestine the food may remain for a period of either 24 to 48 hours. That is why even in the large intestine there is a possibility of infection to or inflammation to happen. That means, in other words, the infection or inflammation may be possible in the small intestine, stomach, small intestine as well as large intestine. Why this infection may occur? Because the microbes are more, more proliferating in increased number in the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, because we are consuming carbohydrate rich diet. And depending upon the nature of the food, we have said, that is clinical features of Sanga may vary there. That's what I have said. If a person is taking the simple papad, or if the person is taking the idli, or if the person is taking the aloo paratha, in all these occasions the time of stasis of food in the stomach may vary. In the case of papad, it may take very small amount of time, idli may take little bit longer amount of time, and aloo paratha may take even much longer amount of time. So like this, depending upon the type of food consumed, timing of the food is consumed, so there will be a possibility of Sanga to occur. Naturally, whenever Sanga is occurring, there is every possibility of Vimargagamana. Okay. And regarding the Siragranthi, the word meaning of Siragranthi, so that is there will be an obstruction at the vessel. So let us assume the blood vessel there. Whenever blood vessel is, this is considered to be the normal movement of the blood in the capillaries or in the blood vessels. So center, which is considered to be having the lighter substances, so that is the RBCs etc. In the periphery, it is considered to be the WBC etc. will be moving, and still at the periphery, that is the fluid such as plasma protein or the electrolytes or the water etc. that will be moving from the even periphery. So that means this is considered to be very lighter substance when you consider the whole components of the blood. That is why it will be moving very fast, and that will be moving at the center, and this will be moving at the periphery as they are having the intermediate molecular weight, and heavier molecular weight they will be moving at the stevel at the even nearer to the intima of the blood vessel. This is what is considered to be the trilaminar blood flow. So when you say about the Siragranthi, so this may be possible. This may be possible in case of Siragranthi there. So that means what actually Siragranthi refers to. So any of the, so for example, if a person is having atheromatous plague, or if there is any external physical trauma, this actually damages the capillaries. When there is damage to the capillaries happening, this actually responsible for the deviation of the course of the particular components. This is actually considered to be in this way it will be moving, and this actually responsible for the disturbed trilaminar flow, and this is the initiation for the manifestation of a Siragranthi. So in total, for the take home messages from today's lecture is the Srotodushti is considered to be an abnormal functioning of the Srotas. So that is either it may be increased movement may happen, or decreased movement may happen, or a deviation in the natural course of the contents may happen, or a reverse movement may happen. So this may not be happening not only in the alimentary canal, in any of the tubular structures or the circular structure or a meshwork, this may happen. Atipravritti refers to excessive movement to happen in its natural course, either in the alimentary canal or in the urinary system or in the female reproductive system. And Sanga, this can be considered to be either decreased movement or no movement can happen in the body. This is usually being followed by Vimargagamana. And Siragranthi, this is actually caused by the various causes which actually increases the viscosity of the blood. Friends, what are the new informations that you have learned from this particular video? Mention below. And if any new informations strike your head or your thinking process, then mention below. If you are truly liking this particular video, then spread this particular video to the maximum number of true Ayurveda learners so that we can make a movement out of this particular small message. What would you like to hear from my next video? Mention below. Thank you.